everyone. I'm going to demonstrate today how I use Silhouette's Pixscan mat. It's new from Silhouette. It allows you to stamp on paper, and then you put it on the mat, you take a picture of it, import it into your computer, and then the Silhouette, after you place your cut lines and so forth by tracing, it'll cut around your images. Here's some examples of what I've done in the past couple of weeks. It really does work. It's very amazing. And what I like to do is I stamp a full page like this. I fill it with stamps, but you want them to be spaced apart because you're actually going to trace each image in the Silhouette software. So fill up your page, but have some space around it. And I've been stamping with Memento Tuxedo Black, and then I've been embossing with clear embossing powder onto watercolor paper. Nothing too fancy. It's 90-pound watercolor paper pad that I got at Walmart down the street. Incidentally, I also trim my paper to 8.5 by 11 3/4. And the reason that I do that is that you want it to fit within this rectangle. What I've been coloring with are my Distress Markers and a watercolor brush, and also I've been using my Inktense pencils. This is a really nice mat. It's sticky, but not too sticky. I'm hoping that they'll make their other mats with this stickiness. It's just nice. I've used it a lot, and it feels good. And I've been taking my pictures with my iPhone 4S. I did do a couple using my scanner because I was hesitant to use my camera phone, because I just kind of thought that there's no way that'll work. But I found that using my iPhone 4S actually imports the image in faster than scanning. But you can do both. There's no fancy lighting in here. I just place the mat on the floor. And then, here's my phone. I get as much of the mat in the frame as possible. Like so. Take the picture, and then I take it over to my computer, and I use the cord that I charge with. I remove it from the plug here, and I place this in here, and the USB portion on the computer. And then your iPhone will say, "Trust this computer." Trust, of course. And then I double click, and there it is. And I have actually made a folder on my computer. I've labeled it Pixscan. I find the picture, and the preview may look blurry, but it's not blurry. I select it, I move it to the folder from my iPhone to the folder on the computer labeled Pixscan. And from here, I'm going to do a screen capture video of how I trace these stamped images in Silhouette Studio. On my computer, I am bringing up the newest version of Silhouette Studio, which is what you will need in order to use the Pixscan technology. I'm going to select Design. I'm going to go over here to the Pixscan, Open Pixscan image. I'm going to select Import from File, and we're going to go and open the picture that I took earlier. There it is. Select Open. And the software is calibrating for my phone, Apple iPhone 4S. I haven't done anything to alter the picture. This is just as I had taken it, and it'll load shortly, and wow, there it is. All right, looks pretty good to me. So what the purpose of this video is to trace these stamped images so that the Silhouette Cameo will know where to cut. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to select first the open trace window. We're going to select trace area, and then you're going to use your mouse to drag this little trace box, I guess is what you'll call it, and you're going to want to adjust a little bit. Get in there. And all of these, the yellow colors that you see here, that indicates that it's going to be recognized in the cuts and so forth for the machine. And what I think that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to keep high pass filter checked. These are detailed stamped images. I think if it were just shapes, I would probably uncheck high pass filter. But I'm going to increase the threshold. Now you see what happened? We got all that noise. You don't want that. So I'm going to decrease it, increase to about, let's see, about 47. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to select trace. Okay, now hopefully you can see all these little red lines. I'm going to select and move it so you can kind of get an idea of what we got here. Looks like pretty good. But what I think I'm going to want to do, because these are stamped images, is that I'm going to want an offset around them. So we're going to put it back. We're going to right click and we're going to release compound path. And then that has released everything. It's not grouped anymore. And that way it'll make it easy to go and individually select and make offsets around them. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to group Dream Big, and I'm going to right click, group, and what I want to do is, whoa, I don't want to do that. I want to drag this off the mat so we can take a look at it. And that looks like it would cut pretty well, but I want an offset, so select, go to the offset window, select offset, and what I'm going to want, let's see, it by default the distance is 0.125. That would be like around the image. That's a little big, so I think I'm going to try and see what 050 does. So we're going to click apply. Now that looks pretty good. I'm going to drag the offset away to look at it, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to release compound path because I really just want this offset. So we're going to put it to the mat on top of Dream Big, and that just looks perfect. So let's just get rid of all this. Drag your mouse, then right click and delete. Let's move on to the witch. Let's select everything, hopefully. Right click, group, and drag her off the mat. And we're going to offset her. And most of the time when I do this, I usually bring it down to about 025, but I think I'm going to do about 035 and apply. Let's see what we got. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's right click and release compound path. Let's see what that's going to look like around the witch. That looks pretty perfect. So let's get rid of this and delete. And let's group the balloon girl and take her off the mat. Group and offset. And let's try a distance of about 030 and apply. I think that's going to be good too. So let's select it, right click, release compound path. Whoa. Release compound path and put that, oh well, yep. I think that's going to work out. and then select all of this and delete, delete, and let's group the giraffe and drag him off the mat, and then offset him. And I think with the giraffe I'm going to go to about 040 and apply. And I think that's going to be perfect too. So let's select and right click, release compound path, and yep, that looks good to me. Let's bring it down a little bit, make it a little more tight around. Okay, and then let's get rid of all of this stuff, and then we're going to move on to the dresses, these cute dresses up here. Let's group, right click, select group, and let's drag them off the mat. I have to drag it off the mat to see what it looks like sometimes. Okay, so select offset, and then I think I'm gonna try to do all the way down to 0.025 for the distance. And I think that's gonna work out. So select the offset, right click, release compound path. Let's take a look at what that's gonna look like on the mat. And I think it's pretty good. So let's get rid of this. And then let's move on to these words over here. Let's group the words. And let's take them off the mat so I can take a look at them. We're going to select offset. And I think I'm going to do about a 0.075 on this one as the offset. Ah, yes. Pretty good. Pretty good. So let's delete that initial trace. And let's move on to the cups. Let's group the cups. Select group, and then let's take it off the mat so we can take a look at it. I have a feeling that these cups are going to be tricky, so let's offset them, but let's bring the distance down to only 0.80 and see what that gives us. So hit apply, and then let's take this away and right click and release compound path, and let's take a look at that. Ah, I think I got lucky with this one, except right about here. That's bugging me. Maybe we should do 0.090. So let's delete the offset and delete that, and select our initial trace, select offset, and then change it the distance to about 0.90 and apply. That might be better. So select the offset, right click, release compound path, and let's see what we got. This is probably better. Yep, this is much better. Yay! Alright, let's get rid of this. And let's move on to this flower. The initial trace of this flower I'm not really happy with. So I think I'm going to do a manual trace just on this one flower. And the reason I don't like it is that it didn't pick up this portion here that I had colored away from the stamp. So let's get rid of that initial trace, and let's trace it. Oh, there's still some bits and pieces. Let's get rid of those. Let's do a manual trace ourselves. So select the trace window, select trace area, and I think that on this one I'm going to uncheck the high pass filter, and then we're going to initially see all of this noise, and the way to get rid of that is to decrease your threshold. So let's decrease the threshold. That looks pretty good, I think. Okay, and then what we're going to do is select Trace Outer Edge. And let's take a look at it. And I think that looks pretty good. I might even just go with that, but with stamps, we want a little bit of an offset, I think. So let's select the offset window, select offset, and let's just do something pretty tight like 0.25, apply. And let's see what that looks like. Yes, because then we'll be able to get these little bits within the offset. So we'll place that back on the mat. This is just, the technology here is just amazing. Let's get rid of this and we'll move on to the last Best Witches for a Happy Halloween sentiment. So we're going to select with our mouse. With my mouse, selecting is you drag with the left button of the mouse held down. If I didn't indicate that earlier, I apologize. And right click and group. Let's take a look. Let's select offset, and we're going to do about a 0.05, I think, with this one. 0.50. Apply. Well, that looks pretty good to me. Let's put that on the mat. I'm going to have to use my arrow keys. Alright, so select this and delete it. And now all that's left, wow, this is just, this makes me happy. All that's left to do now is to select Send to Silhouette, and then you're going to adjust cut settings depending upon the material. When I use the 90-pound watercolor paper, cardstock is what I selected. It hasn't let me down. But as you can see here, whenever you send it to Silhouette, the cut lines, which we applied using the trace tool and the offset, you know, because we're doing stamps, it's applied and we can see them more at this point. So you just select Send to Silhouette, and I'll see you in the next part of the video. Okay, so I'm going to load the Pixscan mat into my Silhouette. There is an arrow here that explains which way it goes in. And then I'm going to select Send to Silhouette. And it is registering. And it is cutting all of those images we traced. It is now cutting around the images. Okay, so let's remove the mat and take it over here and see what we got, huh? Awesome. Awesome. And Witchy Poo. Pretty awesome. Dream Big. The little teacups. Awesome. And the flower. Oh. And Best Witches for a Happy Halloween. Now, this one makes me nervous. Oh, but it's so perfect. Okay, and then here's the balloon girl. Here, let's take this part off first. And then, I really like this mat. Okay, there's a little bit of an offset. I like it. Okay, so there's Pixscan technology right here. My best advice is just to use it. And I will talk to you next time. Thank you for watching.